Hey, day one, core two, we're starting unit 9. First problem in unit 9 is actually a problem from unit 7, the 8th grade math. And this is all about circle graphs. So right now I need you to stop the video real quick, go to your email and look at the data we're going to use the next couple of days. It's our data from our made up 7th grade CMS basketball team. So very much like histograms, circle graphs need to have chunks of data, because looking at this, you do not have an exact number over and over and over again. So the first thing we'll look at is the number of games played. And the games played range from 10 to 25. So let's think of categories where we can chunk that data. So for games, if we look at games, let's go 0 to 10 played, 11 to 20 that was played, and 20 or higher. Then we look at next, we look at how many people were on the team, which was 9. So our total is 9. Now to get our percent, we look at how many people played between 0 and 10 games. And looking at our data, that was 3 people. So 3 out of 9. People who played 11 out of 20 games, that was 1 person. Nope, 2 people, sorry, 2 people played 0 to 10. 1 person played 1 out of 9. And then 6 people played 20 or more games. Okay, now to find a percentage, we get the decimal, which is 2/10 repeating, 1/10 repeating, 6/10 repeating, and then multiply that by 100. So we have a percentage of 22 2/10%. 11 1/10%, and 66 6/10%. So if we were to make a circle graph just based on games, we would have 3 chunks, and majority would be in 20 plus. Then the next chunk would be 0 to 10, and the next chunk would be 11 to 20. Okay. So the next data we're going to be looking at is minutes played. Minutes played, okay? So we're going to keep this here. And we will look at data that would fall in to our minutes played. So let's look at our first data will be, for minutes, it will be 0 to 400 minutes, 401 to 900 minutes, and then 901 and above minutes played. So by looking at my data, I have 1 person that played under 400 minutes, and that is once again 1 out of 9 because there is 9 players. For the next chunk, 401 to 900 minutes, then we had 4 players out of 9, and the rest would fall under our 901 above, which is also 4 out of 9. So I get that decimal, or I can just multiply that by 100 to get a percent, because the percents are based out of 100. And once again, I have 11 1/10% of the people play 0 to 400, 44 4/10%, and again 44 4/10%. So if I were to draw a circle graph, which we can't because we don't have protractors guaranteed at home, about 4/10, so a little less than half would be 901 plus, and a little more than half, or less than half, would be our 401 to 900, and this chunk is about 11%, which is the 0 to 400, okay? So our next one, and the last one today we're going to discuss, is points. Points, okay? So we're getting, once again, we're getting percents today. Tomorrow we'll work on something else. So for points, once again, we still have 9 players, so it's all based off of 9. So our data we're going to look at today is points scored, 0 to 150. Our next chunk is 151 to 300. Our next chunk is 301 to 450. And our last chunk is 451 and above points. So for the 0 to 150 points, we had 4 people score that. So that would be 4 out of the 9. For the 151 to 300, it was 2 people scored that. So that's 2 out of 9. The 301 to the 450 was also 2 out of 9. And we had 1 person on the team score more than 451 points. That's 1 out of 9. And for the percent, I multiply that by 100. Once again, you can multiply 4 by 100 and then divide it by 9. Or you can divide these two first and then multiply by 100. It would not matter. So my percentages are 44 and 4/10 repeating percent, 22 and 2/10%, 22 and 2/10%, and a little over 11%. So if I were to make a circle graph just based off of my data with just not using a perfect protractor, I would say, okay, 4/10, this is half, so a little less than half would be my 0 to 150. If I do that again, that's my 44, but if I cut that in half, maybe something like this, and this, that would each be 22, so that would be 151 to 300, and this would be 301 to 450, and this last one would be our roughly 451 and above. Okay, so that's just an introduction today. I'll be sending you an email per the homework. It's going to be very similar to this. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks a lot.